Well, the challenge with this is I can't ask my typical question of, how has your continental experience changed your life?
I
Um,
was thinking about that, it is my life. So there you go.
yeah, it is. Well, I'll tell you, you are one of the few people. We'll start with the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. But you're one of the few people I know that recognized a calling from God on your life very early on, and then you spent your life chasing that. And how did that start for you?
That's a good question. I don't think I've ever even told you this, but I grew up in a little town in Michigan called Delton, and my family was not a church family, but there was a little Methodist church in that town, and they one summer they had a vacation Bible school, so I went to it, and you know, they lined us up, these two little missionary ladies, and we sang funny songs like safe am I in the hollow of his hand," and all that. And I sang way too loud. And so the lady said, "You're singing too loud." And I said, "Oh, okay." That did affect me. I don't think I sang again till college. But irregardless, it was a wonderful week in my life. And at the end of the week, they gave us a little prayer card. I was not a Christian, but I said, "Okay, I'll take this prayer card." And they said, "Put it above your bed, get on your knees, and pray it every night." So I did. I put it up there. It is good to praise the Lord and make music to your name, O Most High, proclaiming your love in the morning and your faithfulness at night
Hmm,
to the music. Well, obviously, that became my life.
no
At
kidding.
that moment, as a kid, I was not involved in any musical activity. Like a lot of small kids, I was forced to take some piano lessons for just a little while. But and I was okay at it, but it wasn't my thing. I'm an outdoors guy. So I wanted to, my career was to be outdoors in the forest or hunting or fishing. My dad was a trapper, hunter, fisher, through the ice, not in the ice, all the time. So that's what I knew, and I liked it. But then, being in grade school at that time, our my little friends and I would get together sometimes. And remember one time we were talking about it, and somebody said, "What are you going to be when you grow up?" And they went around the circle. And I think I've told you this story, that one said, "I'm going to be a doctor," another a lawyer, another a fireman, nurse, all that. And when it was my turn, I just said, "I'm going to praise and I'm going to serve the Lord." I really didn't know where that came from. And so, what that tells me today, when I reflect on all that, is that I had a call on my life before I was even a Christian. And I followed that call. And then once we left that little town, what's called Delton, Michigan, and moved to the big city, Lansing, I went from a school of 500 kids from kindergarten to 12th grade to a junior high of 1,600
Hmm.
in the eighth grade. And it was a shock, but it was a good shock. And at the end of our street was a little Bible church called Inner City Bible Church. And so we started to walk down there to that every Sunday. And then that little church that year, the first year we moved there, my entire family accepted the Lord. I think I was the first one, and then the rest of them came along, and that became our church. So now I had a church. Now I was a Christian. I still didn't know where I was going with it, but there was a Youth for Christ going on in my that little town, and it was a really good one. And they had wonderful music. Even I don't know if you remember this name, Ron Huff, who
Yeah.
wrote some of the stuff with the Bill Gaither. He
Yeah.
was the B3 organist for that Youth for Christ,
Oh my
and they
goodness.
had a great vocal group. But I never sang in it. I was not involved in music at all. Instead, I was on the Bible quiz team. I was memorizing Second Timothy and chapters of James and competing, in the big Winona Lake convention with Youth for Christ. But what I really got into was I became kind of the song leader for our youth group. Now, on a Sunday in the 50s, you went to Sunday school, then you went to church in the morning, then at 6 o'clock, you went to youth group, and then at 7 o'clock, the main service. But at the youth group, um, because I guess there was nobody else, I don't know, but I'm the one that had to stand up front and get everybody to sing. So they had these funny little songbooks and lots of little songs like "For God So Loved the World, He Gave His Own," and things like that, or "Christ for Me," da da da. And I got to learn how to do this kind of stuff with my hands. And the music guy at my church, he saw me. He said, "I got to teach you where one is." He said, "I got to teach you how to conduct." And so he did, and I learned that one was down here where it should be, and then two was wherever it was, but 3/4 here, but it's 4/4 here, but 3/4 here. Anyway, the point was he got to me and taught me how to conduct. So suddenly, as a teenager, 10th grade, ninth, 10th grade, I was already learning to conduct.
Wow.
But it was a youth group. It was like nobody was good singers, and I certainly wasn't. And I wasn't singing in any choir. No way. I sang too loud from from grade school. So anyway, then that music guy took the band job at Northwestern College in Minneapolis. So when it came time for me to graduate and thinking about where am I going to go to college, I had my application into Biola, Azusa, Westmont, Wheaton, almost all the major schools. It was $5 for the registration in those days, by the way.
Wow.
Because Don Bisdorf, my music director from the church, went to Northwestern in Minneapolis, I followed him there. And it was easy for me then to get into the music department. And I don't even know why I majored in music. I guess because I was a song leader for my youth group. Not a very good background. Also, I played the marimba. Those are the two things I did. Anyway, I have this funny story about all my roommates. In those days, we had a really big room. There was 5 guys in that room. And one of them said to me one day, um, "I'm going to go audition for the a cappella choir. Why don't you come along?" And I said, "No, thank you. I'm not going to audition for any a cappella choir." And he said, "Aren't you a music major?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, you have to." I said, "I have to?" He said, "You have to." So I did. I did make it. They didn't. I don't know how that happened.
Oh my word.
They just must have needed a second tenor. But the experience of being in that choir was the beginning of my understanding what I wanted to do, because we would take a tour every spring with, a big busload of really good singers.
Hmm.
And then the other bus would be full of the band. So we would do a tour with the band and the choir together. So I got to stand up there and sing away and watch the band and watch the people and watch the big Norwegian guy with this big old beats. And it was really a great experience for me. So that's how I got into music, and that's where I went to school. But the problem was because I had no background except being the youth music leader. When I got to my first theory class, oh boy, I was for sure at the bottom. I mean, there were organists, vocalists, they all knew everything that was going on about 1 chords and 5 chords and 2 sevens going here and there and all. I think, what are they talking about? Is what I was thinking. And I thought, I'm in the wrong business. I had to change my major. So the second year, I decided to major in creative writing and literature. I love that part. So I let it be known that I was going to do that. But one by one, the music professors came to me and said, "Don't go. We see a lot of talent and you stay in the music." And they talked me into it. And
Wow.
so now I'm in the a cappella choir with no musical background, trying to learn canon and fugue and all the rest of the things that come along when you're a music major. But I loved the directing part. And so in this particular Bible college, you had to do some kind of weekly mission work. You had to do something. So I made up a little group out of the a cappella choir, about 10 of them. I asked, let's just do something. Well, I got some arrangements and I said, we'll do these. And so I became their little conductor, and I was like a sophomore. And I took them very big places like the local Salvation Army, things like that. We sang wherever we could,
Yeah.
but we had to do this, and it was a good thing. Because I was doing that, there was one guy in the a cappella choir who had a big church choir. He was the music leader of the Salem Covenant Church in Minneapolis, big church. And he came to me one day, and I'm a sophomore, and he says, I have to leave for 6 months. Would you take over my choir? And I said, what are you talking about? You want me to take over your church choir? Salem Covenant Church? He said, yeah. He said, you'll be fine, da 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 da. And he explained it all to me. And so there I was with all of these Swedish folks in Minneapolis leading the Wednesdays and Sundays. And I did it for 6 months, and it was really fun. I learned a lot. And the next year I got my own church job at a free church, and I was with them till I graduated.
Yeah.
So that's how that all kind of, I just popped to my screen. Sorry, but anyway,
Okay.
yeah. The thing about all of this. Do we have another minute or two? Or are we done?
No, we got all the time you want.
Okay. Well, no, I just wanted to say this, that it wasn't really just always about the music. It was like, because I realized that I had this call, I wanted to be, I just wanted to be all that God wanted me to be. And so once I knew about this verse in Isaiah that said, the Lord said, who's going to go for us? I heard that and I said, I'm the one, I'll go. I'm going. Where do you want me to go? And then in Ezekiel, who's going to stand in the gap? I'll stand in the gap. Give me the gap. I'll fill it up. So that was my attitude. I just was driven and pushed into that. I had to do something. I just felt, I tell you what it was. It's like that verse in Luke 12 where Jesus is talking about the talents. He gave, the farmer guy gave 1 talent to this one, and 2 to that one, and 5 to that one, and the guy with 2 doubled his, the guy with 5 doubled his, and the guy with 1 did nothing with his. I was the type that felt, I'm not going to double, I'm going to quadruple, ziptuple, milliontuple. I'm going, man. I am going. And I was on my knees every day. I was praying. Went to every Deeper Life campaign I could. I wanted to be a spiritual giant. I just spent all of my time focused on growing spiritually so that I could be the one to fill the gap.
Have you ever wished you could gift your life-changing Continental experience to someone else? Well, you can. Your monthly giving can make a huge impact for our teams all over the world. Did you know that this year, we'll have more than 20 Continental groups on the road, communicating in 7 different languages? The Continental story goes on, so keep writing your part of it by being on our support team. And our groups will say, thank you, in 7 different languages.